Day 1. The ship alarm wakes me. I make my way towards the bridge of what's left of the Magpie, and I think over my situation. If you're new here, here's the score. I'm Cardiac Bonnie, the best or maybe the worst smuggler you've ever heard of. I am flat broke. I owe 1 million space bucks to some real sketchy space dudes. I'm banned from every city and station in Stanton until I can pay off my debt. I'm blacklisted from both verified and unverified contracts. I've been shot a little bit. My helmet's been stolen a little bit. And my ship here, the Magpie Century, a Mercury Star Runner is, it's a little bit roughed up. This is day 1 of Bonnie's run. It's a very light role-playing challenge run that I, Bunny-hearted, am doing in Star Citizen. Think of it as like a hero to zero and maybe to hero again. One can hope. Jumping to Hurston, some patchy space ghosts make their presence known, and the quantum drive takes me straight through the planet. Maybe it's on the fritz after yesterday's attack, or, well, maybe the space ghosts just have it in for me today. We'll see. I turn around and jump back to Zephyr. The approach is nice, but as I get closer, I notice something. I'm not alone. There are 2 ships already here. They've conveniently left enough room for the Magpie to land, and I do ask myself, is this a trap or is this luck? And then I ask if it really matters. I land anyways, and after a few awkward first steps, I end up breaking it down old school style with the locals, and then, I get to scavenging. People here just leave supplies out in the open for anyone in need to take, and well, I am a people in need, and I'm here to take. After a few minutes of saying hello to the locals more and peeking around, I make my first big break. 3 sketchy little packages of something probably suspicious just sitting to the side of this classy little cocktail bar. These 3 bundles would turn out to be maize. Now, if you're green or you don't know, maize is a hallucinogen that looks kind of like tree bark. It's potent, it's highly illegal, and it's not cheap. Nobody in the bar claims ownership of the thing, so I decide that smuggler gods must be looking kindly on me today, and, well, like the sign says, there's no turning back. I check the area for any more crates, and I find none, so I decide to grab the goods and load up the Magpie. Now, conveniently, the Mercury Star Runner comes standard with a cute little smuggling compartment. Now that's a secret between you, me, and Crusader Industries. You gotta promise not to tell. I loaded the bundles and headed off to make the sale. Now, lucky me, I know a great fixer out at Reclamation and Disposal Orinth right here on Hurston. And before I know it, I'm touching down between piles of scrap. Box 1 I unloaded without a hitch, but while delivering box number 2, I realized I was not alone. I dropped the maize and went to grab the 3rd box. My thinking was that I could either negotiate with them, or maybe distract them with the maize and have the advantage if they were hostile. Hell, maybe they had a crate or 2 of those sexy space eggs and they needed some help unloading them. I snuck up and politely said hello. Or at least I attempted to. Hey, can you hear me? I'm totally not here to fight you. Not the most aware of their surroundings, this person. They didn't even see my bait right next to the elevator controls. Now, I of course debated stealing their goods and maybe even stealing their ship, but I'm a smuggler. I'm not a murderer, or at least that's my goal. Besides, they seemed just like a regular old space trucker, like me, on a good day. No need to give them a bad one, right? I hid behind a fence while they unloaded, and then I moved in to make my own sale. I waved goodbye one final time as they broke for orbit, and then I loaded up the old spacers, and ka-ching. 84,000 space bucks. Now that's a little under a tenth of what I need to clear my debt, but it's enough to think about repairing the Magpie and, well, at least I wouldn't starve. Not today. As I'm sure you can tell from the explosions around me, another crew showed up while I was lost in thought. I assumed that they were trying to chase me off and that they were succeeding, but instead they made our ships kiss, and they turned out to be friends. So, ooh woo and such. Ship kissing aside, I headed for orbit pretty quickly myself, and then over to HDFS Edmund for some much needed repairs. Hurston won't let me into Lorville, but I can still pay for services at a corporate outpost. I guess even a blacklisted smuggler's money is still good if no one sees them taking it. After some surprisingly cheap repairs, the Magpie was as good as new, and I wiggled the external camera a little bit in excitement, apparently. I spent a little time checking other settlements and outposts to see if I could get lucky on more maids, but with, honestly, very little success. I did find a conveniently labeled helmet, some pickles, a fiery helmet, and a few gems, but after flying all the way to Ida and wrestling with the trade terminal, this was a nightmare. They turned out to be worth only a few thousand space bucks. That's meaningful, but again, chump change compared to the kind of money that I really need to be making if I'm ever going to see civilization again. I needed a better plan. While heading back, I received a request from another friend of mine, Wolf. Wolf wanted to know if the goods elevator at Orinth worked, as apparently those same patchy space goats had broken the elevators at his local salvage yard, so I headed back to check. Letzi, who's the friend who gave me the scare earlier, was heading over too. I arrived, confirmed that the terminal worked, and I even found some mysterious cargo both lying on the ground and hovering somewhat hauntingly over some landing gear. We'll come back to all of this. As I had some time to kill waiting for them, I decided to see if I could steal the snub fighter from an abandoned constellation Andromeda. Now it refused to let me launch it, even after taking off and flying around, so I flipped the Connie over like a sad turtle and I left it there. And then, after a small moment to contemplate life upside down, parkour, I got back to loading the mystery cargo from before, and hey, you remember those patchy space ghosts? Well, they decided to surprise me with a free vacation underground, and well, soon I was extending my stay and journeying straight to the center of Hurston, which, it turns out is not so nice this time of year. After falling for a little bit, I realized that I was starting to suffocate, and, well, it was back to the menu for old Bonnie. I made my way back, grabbed the crates, the elevator did work, accidentally knocked out Letzi. She may never forgive me for this. The cargo turned out to be marked by some sort of corporation, so my fence gave me a terrible rate on it, but still, you know, free space bucks are free space bucks. I really did need something bigger, and so I hatched a little scheme. You know those big cargo companies that have these huge distribution centers across Stanton? Sometimes those centers have evidence lockers or stashes or valuable and even semi-legal goods. Stuff that they probably don't even want on the books. I'm sure they wouldn't mind too much if some, you know, friendly tradesperson happened to take a few crates off their hands, right? I headed over to Graycat Stanton Production Center B. They sure know how to name them. Now, as you can probably tell from the flashing red text, I'm not exactly allowed here. But who is allowed anywhere, really? Besides, I was here to do them a favor. I landed, I headed on in, and I was gonna need to probably borrow a vehicle of some kind to pull this off efficiently, so I thought I would head over to the employee area and see if anyone conveniently left the keys in one. I got distracted by a mystery crate, no dice, but then I ran into someone. They weren't exactly in uniform. They were wearing all black, they had a rifle, bulletproof faceplate with a combat HUD visible in the eye holes. Great. I wasn't the only one here to liberate their stockpile, and well, this crew sure wasn't here to do it quietly. Smuggler lesson number 1. Pirates, bounty hunters, and even other smugglers will tell you that, even in the Stanton system, you need to carry some serious firepower. P8s or LMGs. I've even seen folks carrying railguns at coffee shops, but I found that personally, I rarely need more than my trusty Kodak. Kazakh arms, 6-shooter, bang bang, it's a classic. The code is more than enough. And while I may have walked right into their team, and I may have been, as I was about to find out, surrounded, I was gonna give them hell. And, I did. Until those patchy space ghosts possessed me, and for some reason I threw my last metapen through a grate in the stairs. I still put up a good fight, but it wasn't enough, and before I knew it, I was on my ass, out cold. Now, smuggler lesson number 2. If you got friends, you keep them on speed dial. I let Wolf and Letty know that I'd stumbled into something, and it wasn't too long until they came running. And, well, I told you she wouldn't forgive me. Ouch. Their help wouldn't be free, of course, and their nurse couldn't fix me up completely, but it did get me back on my feet, if a little loopy. Especially when those patchy space ghosts struck again and some fatties that Wolf ran over appeared inside the ambulance, guns blazing. What a mess. Eventually, though, we made it out. Total earnings, negative 15,000 space bucks for medical fees. 2 pirates worth of gear and equipment. I lost a whole lot of meds and had more in my system. Oh, and as a treat, Graycat must have figured out that something was going down, and they opened fire on the Magpie as I was taking off. We barely made it out, but we did make it back home to Zephyr. I sold the pirate's kit. I bought a little bit of food and medical supplies from the shop. To be honest, it's remarkable what you can get out here these days. And with my meds starting to wear off and my vision getting pretty fuzzy, I decided to call it a day. Tomorrow, I would need to find some proper medical care, a real challenge without access to cities or stations, and get back to paying off my debts. Today was a mixed bag, but who knows? Tomorrow? Hey, maybe I'll get lucky. Hey, welcome to the outro. It's good to see you. I'm Bunnyhearted, the extremely dorky retro bunny girl VTuber behind this little challenge run. Here are Bonnie's stats so far. Currently, she is at 78,000 AUEC, which is I think around 8% of where she needs to be. Health-wise, she's real messed up. Ship-wise, I mean, it's a little dented, but it's still good. And you-wise, I really appreciate you. Thank you for watching this. If you wanted to watch Bonnie live, I stream Star Citizen just about every single Thursday on Twitch, and I stream some other cool stuff over there too, Tuesdays to Saturdays. Twitch is, to be honest, my main platform. I'm learning more and more about video editing and having a lot of fun with the series so far, and I'm excited to be doing a little bit more stuff on YouTube. And if you wanted to do some of those cool YouTube things, it can help me a lot as I get a little bit more settled in over here. Okay, thank you so fucking much. The next episode will be out soon-ish. There's a patch, a couple of things break. We may have to change the rules even. We'll find out together. But, alright. This is the official end. This is the actual end. Goodbye. Cool sunglasses, dramatic finger guns. Pew pew. Okay, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.